So, weekend one, or technically it's more so week one of the Black Ops 6 beta has concluded. It is over, and we now have to wait 2 more days until weekend 2 comes out. Now, with weekend 2, they are upping the level cap to 30, which is going to add more weapons and more things to unlock, like perks, lethals, tacticals, things along those lines. So we are going to be getting that next weekend. But what I wanted to talk about this video is what we can expect and what needs to change moving forward, not just into weekend 2 of the beta, but also into the final game. And I happen to know that some of this will be changing next weekend, but on top of this, a lot of it I don't think will be. So I want to go through and just discuss maybe like 10 different things that I think need to be fixed moving forward within Black Ops 6. And I think some of these are very obvious. Speaking of number 1, weapon balance. So if you played weekend 1 of the beta, you would know that the Jackal is insane. The PDW, that weapon is essentially what everyone is using. And the thing that I don't understand about the beta as of right now is even now you go into game and every single person you run into is running the Jackal. You're playing a beta. Not only does your level not carry over, your weapon stats don't carry over, and your stats as a player don't carry over. So if there's ever a time to branch out and try different weapons, it's during a beta. Yet, nobody is doing it. It blows my mind. But putting that aside, the weapon is just, it's too good. The range on it is way too good. And yes, up close, technically, the C9 SMG is actually better choice. But the range drop-off is so quick on it compared to the Jackal. The Jackal is a better assault rifle and SMG than pretty much everything else in the game. So obviously, that needs to be fixed, and it will be. I have proof of it. We'll talk about that later on in the video. The other thing is spawns. So the one thing, and I think probably the biggest complaint that I have seen in everyone's videos on Twitter, everywhere, is the spawns in this game are bad. And I don't think there has ever been a Call of Duty beta, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there has ever been a beta for Call of Duty where we've been like, yep, this is where the spawns need to be. I think every single time we're like, what is going on here? I think a beta is a really good time to test the spawns in the game because they can test their systems that they are using, take those systems, and then bring them into the full launch of the game. And that is something that works really well in the beta, testing spawns and making them better for the launch of the game. Kind of like another thing that we have, which is connections. Now, I think this one is super dependent on individual people. My connection, personally, has been okay. I've had some packet burst issues, but I will say my connection to multiplayer in Black Ops 6 is better than my connection currently in Modern Warfare 3. And my connection in Modern Warfare 3 has been horrible all year long. So the fact that Black Ops 6 is already better, I don't know how that is possible because it's all through Call of Duty HQ, but it is better. It just simply is better for me. But I'm still hitting pretty big lag spikes and having issues on that front. So as far as connection goes, I've seen some people specifically on console say that they have just crazy amounts of hitching. They're not getting packet loss. They're not getting high latency. They are just getting hitching every single game. And I don't know why that is because of, but again, I feel like the beta is a pretty good spot to iron out those details and fix those problems. Now, moving into the next thing, and this is a big one, and I don't think a lot of people are going to talk about this. Score streaks. I know for a fact that Treyarch has not mentioned this. Score streaks are a problem on 2 different fronts. Number 1, I feel like the general kill score streaks, so like your Chopper, your Hellstorm, take a little bit too much score to actually earn it. And I feel like that's carrying over from Black Ops Cold War because of the way that score streaks works in that game. They were persistent. You could die and come back, and your score streaks would carry on over and over again. So our Hellstorm costs a lot of score. And I originally thought the UAV cost a lot of score. That was until I tried out a couple of different perks. Bankroll in conjunction with Dispatcher not only reduces the amount of score you need for non-lethal score streaks, it also starts you with 150 score. And basically you get 1 kill, you get a scout pulse, you get 3 kills, you get a UAV. And then you wait to call in your UAV, call it in the next round. Once you've respawned back in, that UAV and advanced UAV that you just earned are now going to earn you another UAV and advanced UAV. And you basically just have an endless supply of UAVs. It's insane. I was shocked when I found this out. Now that I died, does my UAV... No, once you die, Your UAV doesn't give you any extra score, right? Oh no, it does. Counting, it does.
Cloaker killing music. Headed home. Priority testing request received. UAV.
Locking down Charlie.
So there's our UAV. We do not call that in, and there's our counter UAV. I think I got 2, maybe 3 kills that life. But we do not call it in until we die. There's no point. There's no point to get the extra score. Now we call it in. This is ridiculous. And I already have a scout pulse. What on earth is this? How? Now, another thing that they are fixing moving into weekend or week 2 of the beta is weapon leveling. Weapon leveling felt pretty slow, and I would say on average each weapon had between 40 and 50 levels. It took a long time. I think upwards of 5 hours of in-game play time to earn these weapons to max level. And that's a long time. Now, upon launch of the game, you are going to be able to unlock all of your camos without hitting max level on these weapons, which I think does fall into a good place with the classic prestige system coming into play as well. So I think as a whole, maybe at launch of the game, I don't think maybe that amount of time to level weapons is a bad thing, especially once you get double weapon XP. I think where it becomes a problem is when you have that amount of weapon levels and it takes that long for bad weapons. So in other words, for like pistols, shotguns, things along those lines that are a little bit more difficult to use, maybe those should take a little bit less score, but maybe I'm just wrong. What do you think about weapon leveling? Let me know what you think down in the comments. The other one is Face Off. So Face Off is a mode that is played on strike maps. These are small maps, like think shipment sized maps. So right now we have Pit and Gala. First of all, spawns are horrible on those, but they're small maps. We kind of expect that. Now, as of right now, the only way to play those modes is in the Face Off game mode, which as of right now, that mode does not have any score streaks in it. Now, when I play that mode, I feel like I want to earn score streaks. I feel like score streaks make the game more fun for me. But I have also seen a lot of feedback that says they like that on those small maps, there is no score streaks. And I tried to ask the developers if there was ever plans to, 1, add the face-off maps into the core Mosh Pit playlist, or 2, if there was ever a plan to add score streaks into the face-off mode. I did not get an answer, so at this point, I want to ask what you guys think. In face-off, should there be score streaks, or should the strike maps be in the core playlists? Either option, I would love to hear what you guys think. Next thing that I think needs to change, stims. Stims, I actually like how they work in game. The problem I have with them is they are a complete crutch. If you're not using stims on your class and you're using flashbangs or literally anything else, you are at a disadvantage because stims are so good. And how do you fix this? I don't really know. I don't think it is a situation where you can make flashbangs or stuns or anything like that better. I think it has to be a situation where you make stims worse, which I don't like because I like where stims are in the game. But I think if you were going to do it, you don't make it take longer to use. You make it so it takes longer for you to regenerate health. And I think that's the only way you can do it. And even if they do that, I still think stims are going to be the obvious pick for a tactical grenade, which I think is just going to be a crutch for everyone, especially playing at high levels, which I don't think is a good thing, but we'll have to wait to see. Next thing that I think needs to change, Call of Duty HQ. Now this one is changing, but it won't be for a little while. In Call of Duty HQ, when you go in, you have to boot up the game, then you have to go and click on Black Ops 6, and then that closes your game, and then that opens your Black Ops 6, and once you get Black Ops 6 open, update requires restart, and then you close Black Ops 6, and then you reopen it again, and then you can play the game. It takes like 3 minutes to boot up a game, and that's obviously a big problem. This is supposed to be changing come the launch of the game. I hope it does. And then the final thing, I did talk about this yesterday. I have a whole separate video in regards to this, and that is skill-based matchmaking. Now, there are ways to cheese skill-based matchmaking. 2-boxing, playing with bad friends. There's ways to cheese skill-based matchmaking. And I wanted to take everything that I said in yesterday's video and say it again very quickly. Skill-based matchmaking is here to stay. It is not going anywhere. What I want is a less strict version of skill-based matchmaking so that every game that I play does not feel the same. I want to be able to play a wider margin of people, but I get that skill-based matchmaking isn't going anywhere. So in a reasonable world, I want a middle ground. If you're going to keep skill-based matchmaking, make the parameters a little bit more loose so that every game that I play doesn't feel like I'm playing against the exact same people. That's it. That's the way I would like to see skill-based matchmaking fixed. And I don't think that is too much to ask. Now, the final thing that I want to say is with weekend 1 or week 1 being done and us moving into week 2, what are my final thoughts on the game? If I'm being totally honest, I'm going to get hated on for this, but I'm being honest with you guys. This is the most fun I have had playing a Call of Duty, especially a beta, especially a closed beta at that, in a very, ever, you know what, ever. I will say ever. It's not the best Call of Duty game ever, but it's the best beta ever. It is the most polished, and yes, there are problems with it, but compare it to the other betas that we've played. And on top of that, the most fun Call of Duty beta we have had in a very long time. It reminds me of Black Ops 4, and yes, I loved that game, and maybe you didn't. And maybe if you are watching this and thinking, Inkslasher, you are totally insane right now, maybe you're just not a fan of Treyarch games. And that is completely okay. But from everything that I have played, this is the most encouraging beta that we have seen multiplayer-wise. And I can't wait to see more next weekend and upon the launch of the game. Everything I've seen is in a positive direction. And to push that even further, I want to show you one more thing. Treyarch just tweeted, and they said, weekend 1 of the Black Ops 6 open beta has officially ended. Thank you for playing and providing feedback. The action continues on September 6th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time in the open beta, along with plenty of new content updates, fixes, including the level cap raised to 30. They are balancing weapons. They are tuning spawns. They are increasing weapon XP earn rates, audio improvement, bug fixes, and more. So half of the things that I just complained about that I said need to be changed will already be addressed next weekend. Now, does that mean they're all going to be fixed? Probably not. Great example I can give of this is the Jackal will probably get nerfed, and immediately there'll be one other weapon that needs to be used by everyone, apparently. We'll have to wait to see, but this is positive. It's been 1 week. They are fixing the biggest problems, and yes, there are more problems, but I'm interested to see what actually changes. And as it does, I will keep you guys updated. So make sure you follow the channel, subscribe, turn notifications on, all of that kind of jazz. Let me know what you're thinking down in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, peace.
We are